Hello and welcome to the next episode of Podcast Digital Twin. Today we will talk about money, your money, and how does the traceability system cost. Thank you and stay tuned.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Adrian, question number one. How much? Before we started recording this episode, you said that that you have 3 golden magic questions that you can use to figure out how much the traceability system would cost for every company. Is this a secret of yours, or you can share that with our audience?
It's my secret, obviously, but the truth is that the question changes depending on my research about the company, because I will not say the exact same questions to any company I meet. I do a research first if I talk to customer, so I know exactly how the production process looks like, what kind of machines they can use. I have a broad image, what kind of IT systems do they have, and so on. So I don't waste my 3 questions for things which can be obvious for me. But yeah, in short terms, you can on the first meeting you can broadly say what would be the budget for the automated traceability system.
Okay, so it's always different questions, but you can do it with only 3 questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna share that with us. That's okay. You know, if somebody wants to find out, they can contact you directly, right?
Exactly.
And you can tell them the 3 questions, the 3 magic questions. Okay, so when I think of implementing traceability, there is several factors that decide on how much that would be. The size of the company probably is one. The complexity of the supply chain, because I believe that the more different elements need to be measured, the whole system gets more and more expensive. There are also some like industry standards and regulations for some like particular goods or products. Of course, type of the system, because we have off-the-shelf solutions and then we have custom solutions, and they both could be really good depending on what you need. And then a major factor I think would be integration cost, because for traceability to work in real time, you probably have to integrate it with your ERP system or MES system, and then two more elements that are important are like the training costs. Like you have to train onboard people so they can actually use efficiently that system. And then something that is very often not treated properly is the maintenance of that system and possible upgrades. So it's not like one-time event. Like I believe everything in manufacturing, it's ongoing process that requires updates and potential like future updates and upgrades.
Yeah.
Anything to add there, or?
If you ask me, how can I make this budget to a customer?
But you only need 3 questions.
3 questions. But what is the goal for those questions? The goal for those questions is to understand what's the level of manual of the manual information which is given to the system, and what is the space for automated one, right? Because you have manufacturing companies when the entire process is still manual. You don't have PLCs, for example, right? And if you don't have PLCs, there's no way, there's possibilities, but they're too expensive, so we don't consider it. to make the automated to make the gathering process automated one, right? So this is the first thing. What's the balance between manual and automated information in the system? Second question or second thing is the scale, right? Because if we talk about how many systems we have to connect to each other, how many people we have to connect to the systems, how many departments have to be connected to the systems, what is the exact production process looks like according not to the machinery and the production, but the quality tests, for example, or the logistics, the intra-logistics inside of the company. So this is the I would say the two main factors, and the third one is the identification. We talk about it in the previous episode, and if someone doesn't know what traceability is, we talked about it in the previous episode. So feel free to check it out. But in few words, I'll just say that this is the way how we connect things in the production process from the start till the beginning. So we talked about milk. So the milk goes from cow to a bottle and on a shop shelf, and traceability makes you the entire history how we come from this point zero to point to the last one.
Sure. So we kind of know what elements are important, for putting a price tag on this traceability system. But what about, penalties if you didn't implement traceability? There are industries for sure that require traceability, right? You cannot, cooperate with other factories or some companies that need the track and trace system on the whole supply chain, right?
Yeah, imagine you are, for example, Tesla or Volkswagen, and you are mounting all of those car parts together, right? There are thousands of parts from hundreds of manufacturers, and you are taking the entire responsibility for how the car works, right? So how you can be sure that all of them are produced in the best quality? You have to have automated traceability system. So someone have to tell you, okay, this is the parts which I produced for you, and this is the history of these parts. So you can check it, and you are 100% sure that if you manufacturing this car during the process, you have a good parts to do it.
Okay.
Another example is food industry, right? If we will talk about it, if you sell it in for example in shops, milk, as we said, or anything else, the shop comes to you as a manufacturer and say, okay, so show me now the entire documentation of the production process, and then you can just send it.
Yeah, that's a good beginning for the discussion how much it actually costs a manufacturing company not to have a traceability system in place, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, the like recalls, like the product that was damaged or was not according to some standards. I cannot imagine how much time and effort and money it takes to figure out what batch or what part of the batch or what's 10 different batches, how they were damaged at what point. It seems impossible if you make one mistake at one stage of the process and you don't know which stage. It's just terrible. You have to throw away a lot of product, and then you're wasting time, money, energy, everything. So the recalls of products that were not delivered, not produced properly. I think this is one of the biggest costs of not having a traceability system in place.
Yeah, because you have more not planned downtimes, for example, right? This is the first thing. The second thing, as you mentioned before, is that you are checking the quality of the product, let's say on the end of the process. You don't have a control during this process on it. So you have to wait till the end to say, okay, this thing is not, I cannot sell it. I have to throw it out, and you waste the entire time of the process, the entire cycle from the beginning till the end, to figure that out, right? If you have process control in the traceability, you can make this decision on the production step when you see that this fault or this problem, right? The other thing is efficiency, general efficiency of the organization, because as we said, if you don't have automated traceability system, it means that people have to give information to the system, right? So every operator, every quality check and so on, they have to spend tens of minutes sometimes to just write reports, right? And if you combine all of this time together, you have to say that first thing, you pay for a lot of time for making a manual documentation, which could be done automatically. And the second thing, in this time you are not producing. So it means that you don't produce new parts which can be sold. So you are wasting twice as, you can say that you're losing twice.
Okay. Yeah, there are like two more, the regulations for certain industries, to keep up with certain standards. But I believe we talk about that, that's the money that you will be paying if you are not compliant with that. And then the reputation, we talked about that you can improve your reputation, through proper traceability system. But on the other hand, if you don't have that traceability system implemented, then you're damaging, or you could be damaging your reputation, because nobody's really gonna know the quality of your product if you're not tracking and tracing certain elements of that process. So I think that's something that we kind of discussed already. But my favorite part of this episode,
Okay,
will be our discussion regarding what is needed, in terms of preparation to implement traceability system for manufacturing, and your process consists of 5 elements or 5 steps. Yes or no?
It's hard to say because all of I implemented tens of traceability systems in different companies, right? And the process is different for each, you can say, raw material, firstly, which is being manufactured from the, you can imagine the same milk company which is producing milk in, you can see 5 different milk companies which are producing milk in 5 way different ways. And it's no way you can have universal steps which you can fit to all of those companies, because they are from a different geographical places. They have different machines. They have different IT systems. They have different processes, because some of them can have automated process. Some of them can have manual ones. So I think there's no way you can say, okay, these steps will fit to all of them, but you can say a general point of view what any company should have to consider implementing automated system in a cost-effective way. I mean, you don't have to spend, tens of millions to do it, to revolutionize the entire production process.
Sure. So, as number 1, would you start with the needs and objectives traceability system for certain manufacturing plant? Would that be number one or something else?
It depends, because most of the times, if you are implementing traceability nowadays, it means that company is obligated to do it, right? Because as we said before, it's like you have nowadays it looks like that. Let's say I'm a final customer from you, so I'm like this big car company which is going to you. I am an OEM and is going to you as a tier first, for example, and I'm telling you, okay, do you want this 100 million contract? You said, yeah, sure, why not, right? And I'm telling you, okay, so you have to have automated traceability system. If you will not have it, I will not work with you. So there's no place for needs, there's no place for anything else. It's just like, okay, come to me, tell me what exactly I have to do and how much does it cost, and after that you will see the entire cost of implementation to factory to sell this 100 million contract, and you will see if you really want to sign it. The costs are not too high for you, right?
Yeah, sometimes
This is in most cases.
Yeah, sometimes the companies that you sell to, sometimes you cannot say no, basically, because let's say for the automotive industry, I think this is like a standard for pretty much every single manufacturer, because they take responsibility of the whole car, that is put together based on your elements and some other elements, but they have to know who messed up, because people's life is in danger. Okay, and then how important is the complexity of the supply chain?
Mm-hmm.
How important in terms of like understanding the production process in detail.
Mm-hmm.
The more detail, the more expensive this is probably. But how would you describe this for me, that the second step of the process,
Mm-hmm.
which is understanding in detail
Mm-hmm.
the production process. Can you maybe talk about this based on some real life example?
Yeah, that's for sure. It's crucial. But if you see the entire value chain as, let's say, 10 steps, and one of those steps, it's the manufacturing for one company, you have to understand exactly how the production process looks like. And you don't have to understand the entire process, but you have to understand the process which have to be implemented in the traceability system, because you never know what kind of level of detail your customer will want from you to implement, right? So it means, in simple words, it means like you can have this process of producing this pen, but you can say, okay, I don't, for me, it's not important. The raw materials are not important, because I'm 100% sure that they are implemented in a good way. For me, it's important what I am doing with those raw materials from the start, after I'm putting it together till the end, if I'm putting this final QR code and I'm packaging it, right? But understanding this process, which have to be trace, it's crucial, and more detail it's better for you.
And how do you do it? How do you like, do you go to the production site and then you talk to all the relevant people, or you're also there at the production line just looking at what's happening? How this process is happening of you, let's say, trying to understand the production process in detail?
You have to do something like mapping the entire process flow, right? So, and you have this process flow in few layers. Like the first layer is the layer of the production. So you see like the machines which are connected to each other, and the raw material is going from one machine to the second one and so on, right? And you see what kind of PLCs are there, what kind of machine, what kind of computers, what kind of sensors, and so on and so on. You have to know that. The second layer will be the communication layer, but not between all of those machines, because you know it from the first layer, but between different departments, right? Because one thing is producing this final part or the final product, and the second one is how people are communicating to each other from different departments, like quality, like planning, like, for example, sales, right? Like production, and so on. So this is the second layer. And the third layer is what kind of other systems, not regarding only for traceability, because you're implementing it, are cooperating to each other, right? So obviously, to know it in a broad way, you have to do an assessment, and I always start with that. But after a while, if I see that, okay, we have to go, client is ready to implement the system, we have to go more detail, and we have to take more people on to understand each of those layers and each of those other layers, which I didn't even mention, in more detail, right? So PLCs, IT systems, architecture, IT architecture, cloud computing, reporting, communication, and so on and so on.
That that was going to be the third step, evaluating the IT infrastructure, because sometimes it's efficient, like what the company already has might be good enough, but very often it's not, and it will require some work. But also it's important to figure it out if there are some integrations that would be required for traceability, to work properly.
Yeah, in simple word, it means if the machines are already connecting and communicating to each other, right? This is because if you have an architecture in place already, it means that already everything is ready to implement some software, which it will collect the data, let's say, right? So machines are connected to each other. They are connected to some network, which can be you can build a layer on this network which will gather the information. If it's not ready, it means that you have to you have to build it. So you have to physically connect all of those machines, sensors, and so on together to have this one network which we can connect to.
Okay. Yeah. So that's things that have to be kind of prepared, before implementing traceability. Anything else to add there, or we can start talking about local versus global traceability?
We can talk about local versus global.
Yeah. So it seems easy. What is local, what is global, but if we can go into the details, and how do you understand in simple words, right? Local would be within one factory. Global would be, I don't know, for 20 different factories that at the very end are producing one product. Yes, no, maybe.
I think local, you can refer it local and global, or whatever other terms you will use. It refers to what is the context of this, and what is the you can say the entire the length of the chain regarding to a product, right? So the easiest way is that you have, like, let's say you have a factory, you have 50 machines, but the smallest chain when some product is being produced is just 3 machines connecting to each other. So first one is producing something which is being manufactured for the second one, and the second one is a source for the third one. And in the third one, you have a final product which you can sell, right? So this is, if you connect those 3 machines, you gather data regarding to processes from those machines, it means that you have a local traceability. That's it. You don't have other context for the from the other machines, from the entire plant, from the sales department, let's say, from the logistics and so on, right? So you have only context of those three machines and what's being produced there.
Mm-hmm.
If you think global, or if you think about of the the bigger spectrum, it means that you have to have a broader context. So you have to connect from these three machines. You should connect also data regarding to things which the raw material for the first machine, right? Because before the first machine, there was something going on. Someone took this raw material to this machine, and this raw material probably was produced somewhere else inside of the plant, or it was bought from outside. And also you have to give context after what's going on the third machine.
Mm-hmm.
So in simple words, it means that local regards only from the piece of the manufacturing process, which is crucial for the manufacturer, and global means that you have the entire value chain and other information connected to it.
Okay, beautiful. So let's not do takeaways, but I have a question.
Okay.
Why? I mean, we talk about the benefits. It seems obvious. It helps with, reducing cost, recalls. Like it's just good. I don't understand why companies are not implementing traceability. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
What is the problem? Like they don't understand the benefits. I mean, we just spoke about the benefits. What is there not to understand?
Okay, one thing is the benefits, and we talk about example, which is in most of cases when company just have to do it because someone obligated to do it, like a customer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are not obligated to do it, there's always any kind of change, and implementing traceability is a very big change in the processes and how people are working inside of the company. It's hard to do, like we talked about it before, and it's not as simple as it sounds maybe today to implement automated traceability systems, right? Especially if you're not ready. It means that if you don't have, for example, source codes for your PLCs, you don't have this network of machines cooperating together, you have only manual documentation, maybe you don't even have ERP system set it up. It means that there's a lot of things which you have to do first to even be prepared to implement traceability. And most of companies are overwhelmed of that. Because and if you think about it, usually all of us, every one of us, are overwhelmed if we see that if we see inside of our heads how many things have to be done before we have those, we can benefit from those benefits. But in real life, it's like if you make a plan, like a roadmap, you see step by step what you have to do it. It's always simpler on paper than if it looks from your head.
Okay.
So this is the main problem, I would say.
That's for sure. Okay, I think that's it for today. It's been a little longer the episode, but super necessarily, I think. So thank you, and I will see you, Adrian, and our lovely audience next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.